Hi, welcome to The Pretty Smart Show. I am Jenny Mattern, personal branding expert and lifestyle stylist. And sitting next to me is the lovely
Kat Klaus. I'm an educational consultant for March Consulting. And together we make up The Pretty Smart Show.
Pretty Smart Show. Good. So I want to tell you a little bit about why The Pretty Smart Show got started. If you're just tuning in for the first time, The Pretty Smart Show was designed for the modern woman who wants to be both.
Mm-hmm.
And, nice, that was nice.
Yeah.
Be both. And we really just we saw something lacking. We saw women in the world, women like us, who felt the stereotype that they had to be one or the other. They either had to be pretty or they had to be smart, but they couldn't be both. And we don't buy that. Mm-hmm. We think it's important to celebrate our beauty and our intelligence. And so this show, each week, we'll talk about something that, a little bit of some things that coincide with being pretty and smart and embracing both of those things. Yeah?
Yeah, sounds great.
That sounds good. So this week on The Pretty Smart Show, our topics are confidence, bold leadership, and self-esteem.
We're going to be discussing in our March Minute tips for preparing for networking events. Mm-hmm. And Jenny, in your Hump Day How To, what are we covering today?
This week's Hump Day How To, we're going to talk about some simple body language tweaks that you can do so that you can walk into the room and feel really confident.
Great.
Oh, and this week, our woman you need to know is Janelle Capra of Capra PR. She's fabulous. You're really going to enjoy hearing what she has to say. And that is sponsored by Women's Speaker Association. If you want to know more about the Women's Speaker Association, you can head over to our website, click on WSA, and you can find out how you can become a speaker, how to promote yourself as an author, or just share your message with the world.
And if by any chance that you are women you need to know, you can contact us at info@theprettysmartshow.com and tell us a little bit about yourself, and you can be on the show.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
We're going to thank Misty Damer Photography, another one of our sponsors. Check out her photo booth for your events. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, open air photo booths. You've got to check them out. We thank you, Misty Damer Photography, mistydamerphotography.com for sponsoring our show, and Women's Speaker Association for sponsoring our Woman You Need to Know.
Great. Good. Well, let's get started.
Okay, let's do it. All right.
Okay. So we're going to talk about confidence, self-esteem, bold leadership, but sometimes I don't have a lot of confidence.
No.
At all. Like, yes. I feel like inside I'm just kind of shaking half the time.
Kat and I are very different in a lot of ways. One of those ways, though, is that I am an extrovert through and through, and my lovely friend Kat is an introvert, boldly trying to embrace being an extrovert.
Being an extrovert. I try really hard to be an extrovert, but it takes a lot of preparation. It takes a lot of power posing. It takes a lot of energy, and at the end of the night I want to be in a room alone where it's quiet and I can just be in my head. I don't know, that sounds awful, but that's what an introvert is. You're just awful. In your head a lot of the time. Yeah.
And so when Kat and I will prepare for events, we have to prepare very differently to have the confidence to walk into a room, to network, to really just give people our best. A lot of times you don't have a lot of time to show people who you really are. Mm-hmm. And if you are busy worrying about, am I okay? Am I good enough? Are they going to like me? You're not going to get the chance to make those connections with people. So we want you to embrace your inner confidence here. And we're going to tell you just a few times when we weren't so confident, just to show you that it happens to everybody. I wasn't going to share this one. I was trying to rack my brain for another moment to share, but I realized that in the interest of honesty, I will share with you when I was not my best and brightest, most confident self. So some of you know that I was in a pageant, in the Mrs. Bakersfield pageant, and this was just this crazy, nerve-wracking time for me, something that I really wasn't prepared to do. And my worst fear was falling down on stage. You're in long gowns, you're in high heels, your energy's up, your sugar is low, and I was really freaking out that I was going to fall down on stage when I was out there. So I take the stage, and my adorable husband is on the other end in a tuxedo walking towards me, and I'm holding his arm, and are getting ready to take the stairs in my grand moment, and the lights start to blur and go dark, and I take a nice little tumble right down the front steps in front of the whole crowd. I stay down for a minute, I get back up because I think I'm ready, but no, not do I fall once, but I fall twice. I go ahead and knock out again all the way down. It was literally the most embarrassing thing that I could imagine happening. And I popped back up and said something really awesome, like, let's do this, which is not what you're supposed to say when you're in an evening gown. Anyway, it was just totally nerve-wracking, and something that was like the worst thing that I could imagine. But then something amazing happened. It happened. The worst thing that I could imagine happened to me, and I survived. And people still smiled and, clapped and wanted to talk to me afterwards. So it was this really liberating moment for me, because once I realized that even when you screw up really bad, people that love you still love you. And it's been really just life-changing for me, because now I'm really not that embarrassed. I fall down. I'm not the most graceful human on the planet.
Well, you say that, but because I was in the audience, it was the most graceful fall I think that I've ever seen. It was kind of like you tripped a little bit and you gracefully went down on a knee, and then you got up again and then you went down on your knee again. So it wasn't really...
That was the nice thing about oxygen leaving my body, I guess, apparently. Mm-hmm. When you lose oxygen slowly, you like
very graceful.
Deflate like a balloon. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so that being said, sometimes when we do something that we're really afraid of, it gives us permission to do all those things that we're not that afraid of. So being really afraid to be on stage that way, to do something that was out of my comfort zone, maybe not afraid to do things that are only a little nerve-wracking, like interview people or start a talk show, be on camera for smaller things, because now I feel like the worst has happened in that manner. The worst has happened, and you just get to move on. So I just challenge you to try something that you're really afraid of. Try something that is scary for you, because if you get through that, the rest of the stuff's going to seem really easy. Yeah, there you go. There's my self-confidence story. I feel closer. Do you feel closer to me now? Good.
I feel closer to you.
Good. Okay, good. All right, so now you have to give me something either embarrassing or a time when you weren't at your best and brightest, most confident.
Okay. Well, I've been a straight A student, overachiever my entire life. Shocking! I've only gotten one C in my entire life, and it was a 79.5. It was in Calculus 1, and I know you can't be friends with me anymore. It was in college. I'm not a math person. But for some reason, even though I was a straight A student, always on honor roll, I always felt like I needed to set the bar higher.
Yeah.
And when I was in college, I majored in communications. Mm-hmm. Everyone who was in law, medicine, or business, for some reason, or engineering, I had got it in my head that they were at a higher intelligence level, or, I don't know, they were the super smart people. Mm-hmm. And the idea of getting your MBA or going to business school or MD or something like that seemed, when I was an undergrad, beyond me.
Okay.
Well, in my 20s, I had tried out a whole bunch of different careers. I'd had a whole bunch of new interests and things like that. And it got to the point where I really liked business. I really liked business. Dun, dun. Boom. Mm-hmm. And I started investigating. I started doing my research. I was doing everything that the typical overachiever does. I was reading everything, listening to every podcast. And I had thought, maybe I should apply to graduate school. Maybe I should apply to business school. And then, of course, immediately in my head, we're like, no, that's for the super smart people. You're not going to get into business school. That's beyond your intelligence somehow. I've been telling myself this narrative in my head. And one day, I just woke up and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do this. I'm not going to tell anybody but my husband that I'm applying. And if I don't get in, then nobody has to know.
Okay.
So that's exactly what I did. I researched a whole bunch of graduate schools. I found the one that really fit me, and I applied and I interviewed, and they gave me my acceptance letter. And that was, I think, the biggest, life-changing moment, but it was a big indicator of that narrative I'd been telling myself and how it wasn't true anymore.
We should definitely do an episode on limiting beliefs.
We should.
I mean, there's a lot of psychoanalysts that goes with that about limiting beliefs, but I think that it's so true that something that your narrative told you is that you weren't smart enough for that, right? Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. Good. So doing something scary is really good for us.
It is.
And do you feel more confident now? Well, one, you have your MBA. So
I finished.
Clearly she went to the right spot because she did it.
Almost at the top of my class. Almost. My two best friends beat me, but I was pregnant at the time too, so I have to forgive myself a little bit.
Wow. Pregnant brain and MBA. That's pretty impressive. Good. All right. So that's our show today is about self-confidence. So there's a little insight into where we stand. And I'd love to hear how you feel. If you had a moment when you broke through maybe your self-confidence barrier, or a moment, if you want to share an embarrassing moment with us, I like to hear those too. We like those stories too. Good. Okay, up next, we're going to get started with our March Minute, and Kat Klaus is going to tell you 3 ways to prepare for networking events, just to really boost your confidence, your preparedness for those events. Yeah? Yeah, good. All right, sounds good. See you over there.
Today's March Minute, we're going to discuss how to be confident at a networking event. Now, if you're anything like me, I'm a natural introvert, so I get really nervous being around people in general. I don't know why. It's just something innate. I'd rather, talk to people one-on-one. Going to an event where there's a whole bunch of strangers in a room is scary. So there's a couple things that I do to make it a little less scary. First tip. Know why you're going. Set your intention. Are you going to meet potential employers? Are you going to meet potential clients? Or are you going to know more people in the community? So set your intention, know why you're going to be at this event. It shouldn't be, well, I'm just going to go. No. There should be a reason. Second, do a little research. Don't do any hardcore internet stalking, but see who else is going to be there and learn a little bit about them. If you know the organizer is the head of the Women's Speaker Association, for example, do a little research about her, visit her website, have a few things to talk about. The third tip, of course, is to have a few things to talk about. So look in in the local news or industry news. If you're with a whole bunch of accountants, have something to say about the accounting industry so that you have something prepared to talk about. That's 3 things that you can do to make networking a little less scary to prepare. I'm Kat Klaus of March Consulting. If you'd like to know a little bit more about networking tips, you can visit our website at mymarchconsulting.com, or you can reach out on Twitter at College March. Thanks.
All right, so this is your Hump Day How To, sponsored by Snappy Casual Consulting. You can check out all of our past Hump Day How Tos on the YouTube channel. So this week's Hump Day How To is how to use some body language basics to amp up your self-confidence. Since we're talking about self-confidence this week, one of the main things that women especially do is we try to make ourselves as small and as unobtrusive as possible when we walk into events. But powerful people and confident people don't do that. They take up as much space, make as much noise, and they are as large as life when they walk into a room. So here's a couple of little body tweaks that you can do to boost your self-confidence. The first body tweak you can do is just to unglue your elbows. All right, when you walk into a room, we have a tendency to get as small as possible. We fold our arms, we tuck our elbows in. But when we stand there small, basically we're saying, your space is more important than my space. So my space, remember my space? So your space is not, as important. So you're making yourself as small as possible. Don't do that. Just unglue your elbows, relax a little bit, put your shoulders back. It just says that, hey, I'm important too. So when you walk into that room and you've unglued your elbows, the first thing that's going to happen is someone's probably going to ask you to have a seat. All right, so here's your chance to show that you've got some confidence by not shrinking away when you have a seat. All right, so we got a chair. Sit down. All right, so what we tend to do is we tend to cross our legs, and then we get really small. We put our hands in between our legs, and we get really tiny, and we slouch our shoulders like this. Ready? And we sit really small, right? And obviously, when you're saying that, no one's going to give you the attention you deserve by doing that. What powerful people do differently is they use their space, and they also use furniture in ways it's not meant to be used. So, and that should be ladylike. I won't go too far, but powerful people stretch out they put their arms back. Look at me right now. Like, it looks like I own the room, right? And if you notice, I don't know, think of like Mad Men, how they're always leaning on tables or opening their arms back. These are big power poses that can make us feel really powerful. You don't have to take it so far, but just by opening up your space just a little bit, it gives the impression that you take ownership of the space. And by taking ownership of the space, it makes you seem a little more important to the room. So feel important by embracing your space. Another thing that we tend to do when we go into a room is we talk really fast and our voice gets a little higher because we get really excited and okay? By taking a deep breath, by slowing down our voice, and by dropping it down a register, we really take control of our words. By slowing down, speaking lower, people will believe that we have something more important to say. See how I did that there, right? So just by taking a minute to, just slow it down, take up a little more space, unglue your elbows, and drop your voice down, you can really exude some more confidence when you walk in a room. I want you to feel confident. I want you to feel like you know how to work a room. If you'd like a few more tips, we are holding an event here in Bakersfield, if you're in the nearby area, the last Tuesday of the month here in September. And you can check out that event at nyty.eventbrite.com. And it's going to be how to network like a pro. So we'll be using these tips and a few more to help you just build that confidence, knowing that you can walk into a room and work it. I'm Jenny Mattern. Thank you for joining us. What's happening? Thank you for joining us. I'm Jenny Mattern, and this was your Hump Day How To. Kat?
Welcome to the Woman You Need to Know segment, sponsored by the WSA, the Women's Speaker Association, and we're talking about bold leadership, confidence, and self-esteem. Today, our Woman You Need to Know is Janelle Capra of Capra PR. Welcome, Janelle.
Thank you.
We're really excited to have you on the show. We have a set amount of questions that we're going to ask you, that some pretty questions, some smart questions, and some questions just to get to know you a little bit better.
Wonderful.
So I'm going to hand it over to Jenny. She's going to ask our first question.
So the Women's Speaker Association has a monthly topic, and this month is about bold leadership, and we thought you were a perfect person because you were just pushing on through and you're making your own rules, and I love that about you. So our first question for you is just, what are you really excited about right now?
You know, it's interesting in life as we evolve as working women and take on new careers and opportunities. What I'm really excited about right now is what I've called throughout my life is the gift of gab, and taking that to another level in being able to be a paid speaker and really testing out those waters a little bit more. I've been a spokesperson for a national charity. I've been, someone who I would go on camera for different nonprofits, but never where I really took the speaking to another level. And so I'm thrilled to be a part of an event happening in January in Los Angeles called Speak, Impact, Monetize.
Speak, Impact, Monetize. Yes. Nice. Very good. So that's exciting. What role are you going to play in that? Do you know?
I will be a spotlight speaker, but it's again about matchmaking and leaning on, different women in your life that have supported you. Cindy Ashton is putting on this event. I met her years ago at the Bakersfield Women's Business Conference. It was just a short connection that's grown through the years. I brought her out as a workshop presenter for National Association of Professional Women here in Bakersfield, and we've stayed in touch. So yeah.
Awesome. So we'll make sure to include that information on the website so you can get in touch with Janelle or with Cindy Ashton. Yes. Awesome. Great. All right. So Kat, you're up. Here we go.
Okay. So Janelle, what made you decide to go into the PR business?
Well, so I would say it's something that happened in my journey. Out of school, I was a communications major. I was interning for the local stations. My first paid spot, was actually working for one of the local TV stations. And so as I worked with them, whether it was on syndicated promos or, helping with the community events, I found that I really enjoyed using media in a powerful way. And I enjoyed being able to share that message, you know, in a way that's not always shared, not as often as it should be. So sharing the good news. So
I like that. Sharing the good news.
Yeah.
Yeah. Capra PR. Sharing the good
well,
news.
and it is, you
Yeah.
know, because too much we do, and it's true in news, if it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah.
That happens. You see that in the newsroom. But what a lot of people don't know, if you haven't worked in that setting or seen a live board develop throughout the day, is that you do set the agenda. You have control of that as the consumer of the news, as the person in the community, and we can help share those stories. So I loved being able to just, you know, get nonprofits on the air that normally wouldn't be able to, and that led to my own public relations firm, where I could then decide selectively who I would work with and when.
I've been lucky because I've been one of the people you've selectively worked with. I'm so excited. When I was working with Dress for Success, Janelle was able to help me get the word out. When I wrote the book, when I wrote my book, Conquer Closet Chaos, right, to say it there. My PR person is here. She'd be so upset if I didn't say the title. But I was giving back to Dress for Success, and Janelle was like, okay, whoa, hold the phone. If you're giving back, we need to get you on the air. So it was great because it was a different way to highlight what's going on. So, talking about bold leadership, have you ever had a bold leader in your life, or a mentor that's really influenced you?
I've had several, and you know, I'd have to start with my mom. She would always say, I give you roots and wings. And that's just something from day one, that even though my mom chose to be that stay-at-home mom and was there for me all the time, it's amazing to see the strength that she just always carried and, you know, encouraged. So I think I took that and ran with it, and throughout the years we're able to meet some really wonderful women that inspired me as well. It's nice when there's a sisterhood, and we've all seen the ugly side.
Yes.
I have two daughters that one's almost turning 13, watch out, and the younger one is turning 9, and you know, there is the mean girl out there, and there's the mean girl when we grow up, but it's nice when we can lean on somebody and know that, you know, just inspiring someone to serve or inspiring someone to find their true passion and just run with it. Just go for it, you know?
Absolutely. And that was one of the main reasons that we started the Women's Speaker Association here in Bakersfield.
Of which I'm a new member.
Of which we have a new member. Woo, woo, yep. We let members hold the mic when they're doing this. But that was part of it. Is we wanted a place to connect and collaborate with like-minded women that were really there about supporting.
Yes.
You know, the Better Together has been sort of a worldwide anthem right now for all of the conferences, women's events, and networking.
Well, we've all walked into a networking event where you just feel like everybody's, as Jenny calls, waterfalling, where they just kind of look at you and go, oh.
Size you up.
Size you up, yeah.
And you just feel that uncomfortable feeling,
Right.
and those aren't the kind of, you know, why can't we just all
get along,
be nice
right.
to each
Yeah.
other?
Yeah.
But we've been to a lot of events like that, and it's nice to see other women who are more interested in collaborating and supporting and, you know, forwarding each other's messages.
Yeah.
And so that's
Forwarding
great.
your message. Capra PR.
You're going to be rebranding.
Right, rebranding you all day. Good.
Yeah.
So, as a PR company, we were talking about what you do differently, and we think your message is mostly just sharing the good news whenever
It is.
possible, right?
Yeah.
So, with that being said, is there services? What services do you offer that are different, maybe, than what other PR companies?
Well,
what
so
makes
it's
you
funny
different?
when you think about your own business, and then especially if you're in marketing and PR, I had to take a step back and actually think, what is my brand? You know, who is my audience? Who do I want to reach out to? And I started to really just take a journal of what drives me. You know, what am I most passionate about? And it's children's charities, it's education, it's health. And so I tried to be very selective in that niche. Now, it may be a small project that I'm working on for a nonprofit or a national account, but those are the three areas that I try to focus on. And whether it's a media campaign that we're getting on all the stations, whether we're trying to then just, you know, share the news in a special way on a news story, or a gala. Yes, I do those too.
Galas.
Yeah.
No small feet.
Yeah.
No.
Don't book 2 galas in the same 3-month period. I'm just saying.
Capra PR.
Just
don't book
so
too
everyone
small.
knows.
Good.
Unless you have a team to help you. But yeah, you know, there's different ways in being able to represent in public relations. And so for me, my brand, public relations, means to me personal relationships. It means, you know, positive reinforcement. And because of that,
PR, positive reinforcement.
it's in my
I
tag.
like that.
And you
Capra
get,
PR, positive reinforcement. That's good. I don't know how
and
many
you know,
times.
I think it's important for you always to then be willing to reinvent that too.
Yeah.
So looking at what fits right now has been good for me to be selective and saying yes to what I want to to work on and what I have the time for. I have 2 daughters. I also have a baby boy who's 2, and oh my goodness, everywhere.
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 Yes, we know.
Toddlers
You've got
are everywhere.
2, 3-year-old. Yeah, we know.
So, you
We're
know,
in it.
I'm very protective of my time, and I give outside of my work. And I never thought I'd wear this hat, but I'm also parent-teacher club president. So for now, that's an important role to help the girls in their school. But it's just one of those things that you make choices over others. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Don't spread yourself too thin.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
Right?
we all do.
We've been doing. Yeah.
The art of no thank you. Remember?
Yes. The art
in
of
wine,
no
in
thank
Wine Whisperer, that's the end.
Yes.
Because we get asked so much, and I think as women, we're always willing, yes, we'll say yes. But if you can't really be there, and if you can't really be there in a genuine way, then you're not serving that organization. You're not serving yourself. And
true.
so you have
You're
to
not
say
really
no.
showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been an avid follower of you on the Huffington Post because you have a blog
thanks.
there. And it really encompasses all of your branding. I think it's family, talks about being a mother and a successful woman. Can you tell us a little bit about, or tell our audience a little bit about your blog and how that
so
came
that's
to be?
been a fun way of sharing my voice. Like I was saying earlier, I feel that I was given the gift of gab young on, but I also love to write. And it was a different way of sharing my voice. It was an accidental journey. I was really moved after attending a conference where Ariana Huffington was speaking, and she was just presenting this idea of the third metric, that there should be a third metric to defining success. It's not just money, it's not just power, that there should be well-being, that there should still be the gift of wonder. So I responded to that, and quite honestly, it was probably at 11:30 at night on Twitter that I sent out an email saying this really resonates with me. I'm a working mom of 3, and definitely the sleep deprived part, I can relate to. We all need our better sleep. So I started to blog with them. She invited me to be a blogger, and it's just been kind of a way for me to share what's on my mind. But I think I'll see where that takes me as well, because it's been an interesting way and an interesting platform for different topics. I wrote one on royal baby blues, and I wrote it in a way that I just was very drawn to that image of, them outside of the hospital and holding that baby and looking scared. They looked a little scared. Well,
scared. Yeah,
your parents are
terrifying.
scared.
It is.
Yeah.
Wait.
And wait, you're going to let me take him home? Right.
I know. So I related, and if we were to sit down over tea, I wrote some thoughts of what I would share. But I'm trying to just share a little bit of my mompreneur journey, a little there, and then also, anything that is touching my life right now that may help others.
So where can they find you? Where can our fans find you?
So if you Google Janelle Capra, you will find my links to Huffington Post and all the blogs. You can also then visit the website caprapr.com, and you can get on a subscribe list there.
So I want to ask you, we ask everybody the pretty smart question. So the pretty smart show, and we talk about how women have usually been stereotyped as one or the other, and maybe not been allowed to embrace both. We'd like to know, have you been described as being pretty or smart in your life? What would you say you've been described as most in your life, and how did that affect you?
So I would say it's been both at different times. I remember being a young preteen, really involved with dance, being on stage and the recitals and the pretty costumes and the moms and the grandmas coming up, oh, you're so pretty, you're so great on stage. And there's something about that makes you feel special, especially as a girl. I remember a good friend of my mom's, we would go out to dinner and she would help do my hair and makeup, and there's something about that makes you feel really good. But I think it's making sure you feel the full, well-rounded part. The smart was definitely being able to achieve certain things that I didn't think I could do. And making sure that even in school, I was a good student. I was an AB student. Did not like geometry. Didn't.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
I couldn't.
You can like geometry. We
But
just happen
yes,
to not
that
like
was not
geometry.
I can write you a term paper, 12-page, get it done for you tomorrow. But when it came to math and certain things like that, especially geometry, I took it when I was a senior.
Yep.
I was a senior girl, cheerleader, stood out in the room of freshmen. But anyway, learning, I think, along the way that sometimes labels can help inspire you, but not to get caught up in them either. And with my daughters, I really try to set a stage for them to encourage them that they won't get stuck on just pretty or smart, and encouraging each other.
Nice. To be both. Yeah, good.
Be both.
I read an article not too long ago about how to talk to little girls. I don't know if you saw that, but it might have actually been on Huffington. Just saying that it's not, the first thing you shouldn't say to a little girl is, look how pretty you are, or look how pretty your bow is, or look how pretty, and it's strange that even as a girl, I struggle with what to say to them.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of go-to things that I say when I see a little girl, and I say, wow, those shoes, I bet you're so fast, right? Or,
Right.
you know, you look so smart. I bet you know, and just trying to say something outside of look how pretty you are.
Yeah.
And it does feel good to be told that you're pretty. It does
does.
feel, and that's okay. It's okay to want those things, but you're absolutely right. It's about nurturing both sides.
Yeah.
And we hope that here at Pretty Smart that we'll be able to nurture both sides. Not just for, you know, our audience is not necessarily those teens and tweens. We're looking at grown women, modern women who maybe still don't have that message straight.
Right.
So we want to thank you, Janelle Capra of Capra PR, for joining us today. And if you want to find out more information about Janelle or more about our show, go ahead and head over to our website, theprettysmartshow.com. And we will be right back with our final thoughts. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for joining us today on The Pretty Smart Show. We talked about self-confidence, bold leadership, and self-esteem. If you want to know more, go over to our website at theprettysmartshow.com. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube to our channel. We like thumbs ups.
Thumbs ups.
Thumbs
or
up.
you can tweet us at Pretty Smart Show. Yeah, not at Pretty Smart Show.
Pretty Smart
you
Show.
can our hashtag is hashtag be both.
Be both. Good. We'd like to take a minute to thank our sponsors once again, the Women's Speaker Association, the voice of women all around the world. And we'd also like to take a minute to thank Misty Dameron Photography.
Check out her open air photo booths for your events. They're amazing.
Awesome. So we thank Janelle Capra from Capra PR for being our woman you need to know. And if you want to know more, we're going to keep all that information right here in the comment section below so that you can find out more. Yep.
Great.
All right. So in closing, we just want to remind you that you don't have to choose one. You can be pretty, you can be smart, you can be both. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.